Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Judy Blake, and I am the Leadership and Advocacy Coordinator for Family to Family Network. I am so happy to bring to you another Wednesday training for our families and for the Houston community. We are so thrilled to have Kim Torres joining us today. She is the ever so cool, ever so bright, ever so compassionate, and just a great gal. She is with the Houston Airport System, and she is their accessibility manager. Isn't that like a really cool title? So Kim helps the Intercontinental Airport, George Bush IAH, and Houston Hobby Airports. If you could, please hold your questions until the end of the presentation. Kim will be speaking for probably about 40 minutes or so, and then we'll have time for Q&A. If you don't feel comfortable asking your question, feel free to private message me, and I'll be happy to ask anonymously on your behalf. Please know that this is a really, really safe space. We want you to ask any question, share any feedback. Kim can't make changes or strive to make changes if she doesn't know what people are thinking. If consumers don't let her know if there's an issue, she can't help solve it. And she wants to know, and she cares. So before we get started to her, I am thrilled to have us be joined by Christina Zavala.
Hi, could you
Let me see if I get my Spanish right. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Yes, because it's after 12 o'clock. Okay.
Right.
You're teaching me
Thank
well.
you, Judy.
Okay, who says you can't teach this old dog new tricks? That's right. So Christina, I'm so glad you could join us. For those of you who don't know Christina, she's really an extraordinary colleague. Number one, she's bilingual, and she is she just keeps us together at Family to Family Network. She is the co-programming coordinator for a wonderful financial planning class that she is having along with our other colleague, Inger Clark. If you would like more information, need help with financial planning, by all means, please reach out to Christina.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, my pleasure, either through the chat box or through Family to Family Network's website. So, Kim Torres, take it away. Why don't you go ahead and share your screen? Michelle, if you want to write in the chat box, I want to make sure you can hear again. Hopefully logging back on and off you could. We see it. I don't know if you want to do slideshow.
Can you see the notes, or do you see?
Yes, we can see the notes.
All right, then that's because I have two monitors on.
Oh, okay.
Let's stop sharing and let's
Okay.
begin.
No problem.
See if we can. Do you see just the slide?
Yes. Go, Kim.
There you go.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's see. All right, so today, first of all, thank you for having us. I'm really excited to be here. She's told you my name's Kim Torres. I've spent the last 10 years of my life in disability awareness advocacy through a couple of local nonprofits. And then I read this awesome book about how we need more people to change the world of disability accessibility from the inside out. And it really spoke to me. So I took the jump to local government and have been whittling away as fast as I can at trying to make at least our Houston airport system the most accessible place it can be. You'll hear a lot today about my adventures with my son. My son is 10 years old, and he has, well, I like to say it this way. He is super funny, super smart, super kind, one of the biggest pain in the butts there is in the world. and he also happens to have Down syndrome. And so a lot of the data you're going to hear and the tips and tricks you're going to hear today are from either my personal experiences as a mother or from my experiences as an accessibility manager working with other parents who have navigated our airport system. Okay, so to begin, I just wanted to give you kind of a background on our airport system so that you can, when I do trainings, I like to scare people at first a little bit and make you feel a little overwhelmed about everything. Oh, this airport's so huge. And then I like to give you tips to calm you down in the process, okay? So the Houston airport system is comprised of 2 commercial airports and 1 general aviation airport, which most people don't know that there's a 3rd airport involved in this mix. I'm going to rattle off some stats to you that'll scare you about the size of our airports because they are big. George Bush Intercontinental Airport is a Skytrax rated 4-star airport. It's the largest airport in our system. And pre-COVID, it served 42 million passengers a year. It offers 187 destinations to 6 continents, and it's the 16th busiest airport in all of North America. William P. Hobby is also a 4-star rated airport. It serves 14.4 million passengers per year, pre-COVID numbers, obviously. It has 83 destinations to the US, Mexico, Latin America, and the Caribbean. So while it's considered a medium-sized airport, you're still talking millions of people going through there every year. The last one on there that just looks like a big grassy field with some runways, that is Ellington Airfield. It is the furthest south of our airports. You'll probably never fly out of there unless you just sign up to become an astronaut, because it is home to the country's 10th spaceport. NASA works out of there. The US military works out of there. The Department of Homeland Security works out of there. And some just general small aviation companies work out of there. But it is part of our system. All 3 of these airports, our governing body is the city of Houston. The vision and mission of our organization, we aim to establish a Houston airport system 5-star global air service gateway where the magic of flight is celebrated. 5 stars is the most, just so you know, we're almost there. Our mission is we exist to connect the people, businesses, cultures, and economies of the world to Houston. My teammate, Tamri Modem, who is our ADA coordinator, and we like to tell the story to our colleagues that this mission and vision is for everybody, not just the typical traveler that can just navigate the airport with ease. And so we're working really hard on teaching our employees and the vendors that are located within the building that are the buildings that there are a lot of unique needs coming through here. And 26% of our population has a disability and they want to fly. Our strategic priorities are, we're looking to create a wow experience for you by providing you superior customer service in an efficient manner with the facilities that you need, and the safety. Safety is the underlying foundation of all of that. So I'm telling you all of this now to tell you that we're striving for like really, really great service. So if you, just like Judy was talking about earlier, if you are coming into the airport and not getting that top of the line 5-star experience, you definitely need to be emailing me so we know where we can work on improving that for you. Okay, so today we're going to do tips and tricks, and we are going to go through the whole entire airport experience. Sometimes I may throw in a video clip or get sidetracked. I kind of like to just talk about all things accessibility, but we're really going to kind of flow through the process that you would take if you were going to go on a trip. Remember, as I stated earlier, these are tips and tricks based on my experiences and experiences with parents that I've worked with here at the Houston airport system. So we'll go parking, ticketing, security, terminal time, and boarding. All right, parking. So the Houston Airport System owns 2 parking lots or parking systems. The first one is Eco Park, and the second one is our parking garages. Now, there are plenty of third-party parking vendors available just outside of the property of our airport, but we're not going to talk about them today because I don't work for them. I work for the airport, and I'm going to tell you which ones we own and the ones that I think are best. Even before I worked here, I think these 2 are the best parking options there are. Cost-wise, efficiency-wise, service-wise, these are them. Now, the first one you see when you turn down like JFK Boulevard to come to IAH is going to be like the parking spot. That is not one that we own, so I can't guarantee you what your service will be there. Okay, so my number one suggestion, and y'all as parents of kids with special needs are going to think I'm crazy, but give me a second here. My number one suggestion is to use Eco Park. Eco Park, there are 2 lots at IAH or Bush. There's Eco Park, they're fancy names, Eco Park and Eco Park 2. I know, they got really creative on naming them, okay? And then there's an Eco Park, 1 Eco Park at Hobby Airport. These parking lots, they all offer covered parking spaces, and they are located towards the exteriors of the property of the airport. They typically run about $5 a day to park there. Those rates change, so don't quote me on that, but it's very inexpensive. You get covered parking. And here's the best part I love about Eco Park and traveling with a kid with special needs. My son with Down syndrome has a lot of sensory processing needs. So these parking spaces, you park in a covered parking space and you get out of the car and you start unpacking your suitcase. And literally by the time you unpack your suitcase, you're going to see a shuttle bus that's probably only going to be parked like 10 steps from you, okay? It might be 20 steps max, but the shuttle buses, they come almost directly to you. They hand you a ticket that says what spot you're in, and all you need to do for the remainder of your trip is to hang on to that ticket. That's it. If you can manage to hang on to that ticket, the Eco Park shuttle drivers are going to get you from directly to your car to the right door at your drop-off point, wherever terminal you're flying out of. And then on the way back, they're going to drop you right off at your car. So there is literally no, in our family, dragging my kid around trying to find the right door into the building or trying to find where our car is located. It is literally car to door, door to car. The Eco Park shuttle drivers are friendly, they're helpful, and a lot of times, at least with the kids that I've worked with here, they like the bus ride. And so it's hands down my favorite parking option, and it's the cheapest. The hardest part about using Eco Park is that when you return back from your trip and you are going to need to get the shuttle to take you back to your car, you need to get on the right shuttle bus. And that's pretty easy because if you remember you parked in Eco Park, which is 1, you get on the one that says Eco Park without a number. If you park in Eco Park 2, you get on the bus that says Eco Park 2. That's the hardest part. That and hanging on to your ticket is really the hardest part of this whole process of parking in Eco Park. I'm going to move my camera over because I'm talking to y'all's faces and it looks like I'm talking off to the angle there. There we go. So I highly recommend that service. Our second service is the garage parking. For those of you that have kiddos that maybe don't want to have that extra trip on the shuttle buses, the garages are going to be right up smack dab next to the terminals. At Hobby, that means you are literally like at the front door. Whenever I go to Hobby to work, I park in general parking there. And you're usually a couple of flights up or down and one walkway away from walking directly into the airport. Those prices vary. I think they're up to like $15, $20 a day. They were severely dropped during COVID. And now that people are traveling again, they're increasing parking rates. Here at IAH, it's a little bit more difficult because there are 5 terminals, A, B, C, D, E, and there's a separate parking garage for each terminal. What gets difficult is if you're flying United out of, which is hubbed here at IAH. If you're flying United, you could fly out of, like Judy said earlier, fly out of Terminal B. So you park in Terminal B, parking garage. But when you come back on United, you could land in anything from A through E. And so, let me admit, Judy, I'm gonna just hit admit so she can get in. There we go. So case you might end up having to take our subway to get back to the right parking garage. For me, that's too much walking and too much decision making and trying to figure out how to get back to the garage. But it's close, it's closer, and it doesn't rely on a shuttle bus. One suggestion I also tell everybody, disability or not disability, and I actually do it every time I go to work at Hobby. Let's see if I still have one saved on my phone here somewhere, is to take a picture of where you're parked at when you get into the parking garage.
I do that too, all the time. And the ticket.
Yes, because if you take a picture of that, oh, here's one. Let's see here. Like last time I went to work, there's a picture of my car and what level and I'm on. If you have this picture, someone in the airport can help you get back to your car in a garage. We've gotten really good at memorizing where the purple garage is and where the green garage is, where the average traveler, that doesn't make any sense to you guys. So take a picture of where you're parked at, and anyone should be able to direct you in the right direction. But again, I'm a huge fan. I'm trying to sell you right now on EcoPark. I just feel like it is the least stressful. Oh, hi, I love when cats join conversations. I know, it's so great. Here, my cats work here. So I feel like it's the least stressful. It allows me to not worry about parking and just worry about taking care of my son's needs. Okay. Next up, we're gonna go to check-in. Oh, it's a good time for me to point out too, it is still federal law that you wear a mask inside the airport system. That includes me as an employee here. I am not wearing a mask today because I am in solitude inside my windowless office by myself. So that is why I'm not wearing a mask. These people in the pictures are not wearing masks because the pictures were taken pre-COVID. I'll do a little talk on masks. If you have a child that has a medical waiver for masks, that does apply in the airport system and in any public transportation center that is covered under this federal law at this point in time. And so again, I know you're already tired of hearing about my Hayden. Hayden has a medical mask waiver by his child psychiatrist, and that gives him the privilege to come to the airport without a mask on, which he has already done this during COVID. My suggestion would be that if you have a medical mask waiver, that you bring a copy of it with you to eliminate any sort of argument that might come up with an airline employee or a TSA employee that just is absolutely positive your kid should have a mask on. There is some talk that might be lifted eventually soon, but we don't know. So as of now, please wear your mask here when you are in the airport. Okay, check-in. The first thing I would encourage you to do is check in on your airline app in advance. Every airline should have a free app that you can download, and you can check in and you can save your boarding passes to your cell phone and then use your cell phone to get through security and board the airplane. The reason why I suggest this is because the lines are already getting very, very long here at the airports. Travel has picked up so much lately that if I go down in the lobby, Spirit and Southwest are the two big airlines that are right below me. Those lines can wrap around and around and around and around just to check in right now. If you have a child with special needs, that's one wait that you can eliminate by checking in on your airport app ahead of time. Now, the only thing you can't do, obviously you can't check your luggage on your airport app. So I then have two secondary options for you. I'd still use the app to check in and get your boarding passes, but I would urge you to consider curbside baggage check-in or self-kiosk check-in, baggage check-in. Okay, curbside is up and running again for most airlines. It was closed down during COVID, but the attendants are usually out there. The only thing I'll say on that is that it's customary that you tip your curbside check-in agent. You don't have to, but that is customary. If you're brave enough to bring all your kids in with all your car seats and all your 10 bags all into the terminal environment, I would suggest check in on your phone, check your bags in at a kiosk. The kiosks are strategically located. Every airline, even little old Alaska airline downstairs, I think they have 6 or 8 kiosks, and they hardly ever have anybody in line to fly with them. So the airlines are really moving towards this kiosk check-in system. The kiosks are all fully accessible per the Americans with Disabilities Act. So you can get visual, auditory support, and there's usually an airline employee standing in front of the kiosks for crazy moms like me that get there and just can't figure out how to push all the buttons and watch the kids and find my suitcases and keep up with my husband all at the same time. Okay. So there's usually an airport employee there, and you just say, hey, I need some help. Something's not working right here. On those kiosks, you can check in bags, you can pay for your bags, you can print out your bag luggage tags, and you can attach them to your bags. And then all you need to do is drop your bag off at the counter. But here's the kicker. You don't have to wait in the line, the check-in line that everybody else is waiting in to drop your bag off. There's usually one airline employee off to the side that's just taking bags that are already tagged. That process is the smoothest way to check in an airport. And I've studied it like 1,000 times over to try to figure out how to reduce the wait, because the wait is what typically, I hate to use the word kills, because it's really the hard part for so many passengers with hidden disabilities. And so my goal is to try to give you as many tips to reduce the wait as possible. The final one on there is if you check in at the ticketing counter and you're like, oh my gosh, Kim, you just totally scared me away from the ticketing counter. Why in the world would I wait in a line that's a half a mile long to go to the ticketing counter? And there's really one good reason. If you need wheelchair assistance and you forgot to request it in advance. Couple things about wheelchair assistance. You do not have to have a mobility disability to request wheelchair assistance. Okay. I have actually used, let's say it was in Kelsey-Seybold. We had, was taking my son there for some sort of procedure or something, and he was just crazy that day. And I just grabbed a wheelchair and put him in it. and it just calmed him down. It gave him a place to be that was his, and then I could turn him around and we just sat right next to each other, and he quit needing to run up and down the hallways, and he absolutely loved the experience of his mother pushing him around everywhere. You can have that experience too. If you have, let's say you have 3 typically developing kiddos and your 4th one is on the autism spectrum and you're having sensory overload, please ask your airline for wheelchair assistance. I'll even tell you that if you look really closely in the check-in lobbies, you'll even find the wheelchair assistance providers. They have their own little kiosk. Give you a little bit more background on that. Wheelchair service is required by the Air Carriers Access Act, not the ADA. And therefore it's the airlines that are required to offer it, not the airports. So if you go to a terminal like Terminal A, where we have Delta and Southwest and Spirit and American and Alaska and Frontier and like 3 other airlines, each of those airlines could have their own wheelchair provider. So it can get complicated. So if you find a kiosk off to the side that maybe it says it's run by Huntley, that's one of our wheelchair providers, just be aware that they may ask you, what airline are you flying? You may say Southwest, and they may tell you, sorry, we don't work for Southwest. It stinks that they're not just going to say, sure, I can help you, because that's the good thing in my heart, that I want to help you. But the reality is of it that they are being paid by whichever airline has hired them to do their work, and they're probably not going to assist you unless you're flying on their airline. Airports across the country are working on that, but my suggestion to you is to definitely request your wheelchair access 72 hours in advance, and then that way it can all be ready. Let's see, a little extra.
Kim, while we're on this subject, normally I'd wait, but so to request it 72 hours in advance, are they calling the airline on the 800 number? Can you tell them when you're booking your ticket?
Yep, the airline 800 number.
So you have to do that. You can't request it when you're booking your ticket.
You may, when you book your ticket, there usually is an option to say that you need special accommodations.
Okay.
That you click on, and then the airline might even call you back. There's no requirement that they reach out to you. And so I always urge parents to be proactive and pick the phone up and call anyways.
Thank you.
Yeah. Also on wheelchair assistance, by law, by the Air Carriers Access Act, they can leave you sitting in a location for up to 30 minutes before they move you to the next location. So just keep that in mind, that it's not meant to, we have a lot of people that come in here thinking it's a way to bypass and speed up the process. I would probably say that it could slow your process down. But if you need it, you need it. All right, TSA, which I like to call the most scariest part of the whole process. The first thing I'll say is this can be an anxiety-inducing process to anyone going through security. I bet you all would agree. You've been through security at an airport at some point in time where you've been anxious about something. And so that the lines are long, the process is slow, and here's the one that gets most people. The focus is on safety and not friendliness. And that took me a really long time to understand. In fact, that took me working at an airport to really grasp the magnitude of that. Because as a mom, I'd go through those lines and I would be like, if someone gives me an evil eye or barks at us to hurry up one more time, I'm just going to explode. And then I sat back and I realized the sole job of a TSA agent is to keep us safe. And they can't be diverging that focus away to being like me and Judy are, like super friendly and conversating with everybody and telling you how cute your baby is. And, you know, they can't do that. They have to focus on security. So some of the tips I would suggest in getting through TSA, number one is TSA pre-check. If you're able to pay that annual, I think it's an annual fee. I couldn't tell you what it is at this point. If you're able to pay it, I highly suggest paying the fee, sending in your information, getting your background check done in advance, because it allows you to go through a shorter line and you don't have to take your shoes off. Those are two huge things. My husband flies for business and he has TSA pre-check. As long as he remembers to put the TSA pre-check number in our itinerary for our whole family gets to go through TSA pre-check with him. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to pay for, if you're a 6-person family, you don't need to pay for TSA pre-check for every single person.
I just Googled it, and for a 5-year membership, it's $100.
Totally worth it.
$20 a year.
Thank you. Totally worth it. I will tell you though, sometimes there's glitches in the system. Before you head to the airport, make sure that your boarding passes that you've downloaded to your phone have the words TSA pre-check on them. If they don't, you're going to need to call your airline and ask them, why did you not get my TSA on this boarding pass? Because that's what the TSA agents are going to be looking for. There's a secondary company that's out and about now called Clear. It is a third-party vendor that does the same thing as TSA pre-check. I'd say their lines are even shorter because nobody knows about them yet. But again, there's a fee you pay and they just walk you right up to the front of the line and you go on through. Highly recommend one of those two. The second program is TSA Cares. This is a hidden program of the TSA. And I've actually talked to TSA agents who've told me that it's not well advertised on purpose because they don't want people abusing it. And I told them, well, then they will hear about me one day because I plan on telling every parent on planet Earth about TSA Cares. TSA Cares is a hotline that you can call 72 hours in advance of your travels. And you can sign up to have a, let's see, what is their exact word? It's called a passenger support specialist. Meet you at the airport and go through security with your family. A passenger support specialist is a TSA agent who has reached a certain level of, they have stripes on their badges. So they've been there long enough that they've received this special training to be a passenger support specialist. I think that's like 3 or 4 stripes that they have to have. And they will go through the process with you and your family. That means that they can help you remember to remind you calmly and nicely to take your laptop out, leave your watch on, take your belt off. They can help explain the process to your kiddo who has to put their lovey teddy bear through the conveyor belt and make it disappear right in front of them. And they're scared as all heck that the teddy bear is not going to come back. This is an extra human being to help you through that process. And it is completely free. And so I would absolutely suggest calling TSA for that. When we're done, I'll pull up my internet and I'll show you where to go to get the TSA number to be able to get that service. Judy, remind me to do that at the very end, okay?
No problem. And I'll probably even look it up now for you.
Okay, perfect. The next one is speak up. Okay. I'd say this is probably the most important one that you could do at TSA. And we talked about how the primary role of the TSA agent is to maintain safety. They're focused on rules and requirements that all travelers must meet, and they are not focused on individual needs, and especially in the case of hidden disabilities. Yes, we are creating trainings and trying to get these employees, these thousands of employees throughout the airport environment to understand that there are things like hidden disabilities, but that doesn't mean that they are experts in them yet. And so for this reason, I suggest that you advocate. And I wrote down some simple questions you can ask. Just, ask your agent, can we slow down a bit? Can we slow down a bit? You don't have to explain why. Just, can we slow down a bit? Can we explain can you explain what is going to happen next so that my family member is not so anxious? Can you cheer for my son when he successfully takes his shoes off? Because it's going to help him get through it's going to help him get through this line faster. You can ask them to help with all of those things. And I wouldn't feel ashamed or sad to ask for that type of support through the process. If they want the line to run smoothly, they're going to have to help and maybe think differently about kids with sensory processing disorders going through TSA. And so they may need to explain what that machine you're going to walk through does. And don't be afraid to ask them to do that. Let's see here. Oh, someone said they were traveling to Orlando. Some airports have a program called the Sunflower Lanyard Program. We will hopefully have it soon. This is a free program where you can request a sunflower pattern lanyard. And in this lanyard, it basically is a discreet way of saying, I have a hidden disability. And so wearing the sunflower lanyard, like in Orlando's airport, allows the employees to know, okay, this family right now, I need to just provide a little extra customer service. It's a completely voluntary program. The lanyards are completely free. It's a really big program in Europe that is slowly moving this direction. But if you're going to, we don't have it here in Houston, but you can definitely check your, yep, I know, Judy. We're working on it. We're working on it. But you can definitely check your airport that you are flying to see if they have it. Puerto Vallarta, Guadalajara, I don't think they've made it that far yet. Let's see, last one, know your rights. On this one, if you have an adult with a disability and you would like to, or you have a kid with a disability who's flying independently, you have the right to ask for a pass in order to escort them to their gate. Okay, so just like if you have a minor flying unaccompanied, the airline can write you as a parent a pass that lets you get through security and get them to the gate. The same thing is true as if you have a 35-year-old with a disability. You can contact your airline. I still give you that 72-hour window. Ask for a gate pass is what they're called. The gate pass will allow you to get through security and walk your passenger to their gate. It will not allow you to get on the plane. Okay, there's a limit to that gate pass, but I guess you can go shopping for super expensive airport stuff afterwards too, but it will get you past TSA. You'll have to have your ID available and all of that as well. Let's see here. I know I'm rattling off a ton of information. I just wanted to give you as much that you could get, and then we can talk specifics later. Terminal time. Okay, so this is a list of some of the things that we have in the terminal. The problem with, okay, I can tell you how to get through ticketing fast. I can tell you how to get through parking fast. I can tell you how to get through TSA fast. But the reality of it is you've probably showed up to the airport 2 hours early and now you're stuck sitting in the terminal for a while. The terminal is the design standards for terminals these days are open, airy, bright, filled with noise. Those are all things that can be overbearing for a person with sensory processing disorders. And so we've put together a list of some ideas that might help you during your time in the terminal, other than just running sprints back and forth down the terminal aisles, which you can totally do that too. Just don't tell them Kim Torres said you should. You can go to Starbucks 7 times as well. The first one is we have an Access Houston Airport app. Hold on, give me a second. You can download this for free from the Apple Store or your favorite Android store. It's a free app. It contains social stories on how to prepare for different aspects of the flying experience. And it contains a modifiable visual schedule where your passenger can check off events as they go to ease anxiety. If you do not want to go to the app way, my partner and I have recently turned these social stories and visual schedules into printable forms. I know sometimes my son prefers to have that. Oh, me too. I like to read and feel it. So we can send you those. I just sent a mom this morning some of those social stories so they could sit through and look at the pictures. They're real pictures from our airports. The verbiage is designed by a specialist in intellectual and developmental disabilities, and they're very simple and teach the steps of going through an airport. We have Ira. Ira is a free service to visually impaired passengers or passengers who are visually impaired. I suggest you use it just to see how cool of a service it is one day. But Ira, you download the app on your phone, you set up an account for free, and as long as you are inside one of our terminals, you have access to an Ira agent. That agent uses the video camera of your phone. You're walking like this. They're using the video coming from your phone, and they're your wayfinding support. So they look at, you tell them you need to get to gate A32, and the lady or man from Ira uses your camera and guides you. She tells you where to turn right, where to turn left, how to get to gate A32. There are accessible restrooms throughout the entire airport, family restrooms as well. We have play areas. I will tell you, none of them are going to win any sort of award for the world's greatest play area, but they are there, and you are more than welcome to use them. We also have quiet areas, and this is one of the things that you're not going to find on our website yet. You'll need to email me directly for them once you find out which terminals you're flying out of. But I have done an extensive walk. Some of you heard earlier before this started about my mileage that I pick up at the airport. I have walked the airport during peak flying time and found crooks and crannies and little bitty areas throughout the airport that have less traffic. I'm not going to say that they constitute a sensory room by any means. I'm just saying if your passenger needs a space that's off the beaten path, away from the hustle and bustle, and they just need a space to calm down, I can tell you gates B12, there's an extra hallway right there that has passenger access that no one uses. Go hang out in that hallway. I can give you those types of tips. The other thing is that we have chapels located throughout our airport. A chapel is a place for prayer and meditation and quiet thinking. If you need to take your person with special needs to a quiet place, go to the chapel. No one's going to kick you out because you're not in the middle of a prayer session. It is a quiet space and we want you to use it. Same with nursing rooms. Some of them are still labeled mother's rooms, but that is actually incorrect terminology. Nursing rooms are open to all genders of people, not just mothers. Most of our nursing rooms are single stall, just like a restroom. They have individual stalls in them with locking doors and furniture in each section. You need a quiet space. Your child is having sensory overload. Find a nursing room. Chances are it's empty. Go into one of those small rooms, lock the door, and have yourself a quiet moment. And I mean completely quiet. The walls are so insulated nicely. You walk in there and you're like, ah. So definitely those are open to use. If eating in a quiet space is something that, you know, your child has texture issues and eating is just takes a little bit more effort, use a nursing room. That's what they're there for. We have therapy dogs in our airports. Please note that those are different than the TSA's security dogs. You know, the guy walking around with the gun and the dog, he's not a therapy dog. The therapy dogs are labeled therapy dogs, and they're the dogs that you can actually pet. I would not pet any other dogs within the airport system, but if you see one that's wearing a red vest and says he's a Houston airport therapy dog, ask, but you can play with. We have Abby. Abby's like, that's her job. She just loves to come play with people that are anxious in the airport. Harmony in the Air is a musical program. If your kiddo's into music and calms down with music, they play a lot of classical music, which has been shown to be able to calm your mental state. So their Harmony in the Air is set up in 3 places at IAH and 1 place at HOU that you can go sit and enjoy the music. Let's see here. Oh, we've also updated, we used to have a program called Wings for All here, and we've now updated it. It's going to be an airport rehearsal program that the update is to expand it. And I'm really excited. I've gotten to be have a lot of say in building this program. And it will start in person again in the fall, once we get clearance to do in-person events like that. Until then, we are in the process of creating a virtual airport rehearsal tour. It should be finished in the next month or 2, and it will be on our website where your kids will be able to, or even your adults with disabilities will be able to watch a video of going through the airport. The video will contain real life footage of me and my son going through the airport, and then it will have still pictures with very simple discussions, like a social story component to it. It'll be really calm, simple, where they can watch it over and over and over and over again if they need to learn the steps of going through an airport. All of our ground transportation is accessible. Don't let an Uber driver tell you that he can't get an accessible vehicle here. He can. Oh, language line. If any of your adults use, or if you're bilingual and you'd like us to talk to you in a second language, or if any of you use ASL, you have free access to the language line here in the airport. You go to a customer service desk, and that way, once you access the language line, the interpreter helps you communicate with the customer service desk in whatever language. I mean, it's like 250 languages that we can communicate to you in. Let's see here. I'm looking over my list to see if I missed anything big. That's really, oh, and there is visual paging. I love signing up for the visual paging through your airline's app. So I have the United app on my smartwatch, and that means that if my son and I need to go walk laps to get some energy out, I don't have to sit at the gate and wait to be called up, I can go help him walk and calm down. And then my United app buzzes my watch, buzzes my wrist, and tells me that they're now boarding the gate or boarding at my gate. And then I know to walk back. All right, in boarding, again, I'm going to tell you to speak up. These sweet ladies that are standing right here, their job is to answer your questions. If you've got 100 of them, you need to ask all 100 of them to these ladies and not feel guilty of it at all. If you have special requests that you think are reasonable that they can accommodate, you need to ask them when you get there. Their job is to be that customer service representative for you while you're waiting to get on your airplane, and you really need to communicate with them. The next thing I will say is that know your pre-boarding rights. Every person with a disability has the right to pre-board. This is my favorite one. I thought TSA Cares was, but this is my favorite one. Every person with a disability has the right to pre-board before any other group, okay? So people with disabilities have the right under law to board before frequent flyers, before military members, before, you know, what do they call them? Like United, and they have like, they're not called classes. They put you in groups, group A, B, C, D. You get to board before all of those. The flight attendants cannot ask you to verify disability, okay? So if you feel like pre-boarding will help, I suggest doing it. We pre-board with my son every single time. I'm not so sure it helps him more than it helps me. But we use the service so that we're never flying first class. We're the people in like row 30 at the end of the plane. We can slowly walk down the airplane, and he's not going to touch every single person on their head. We can count the rows. We can, you know, touch and feel and see and ask questions at a much slower pace than if we are in the middle of this line that is constantly going. There are other perks to that. Your baggage always fits in the overhead compartment. You know, just simple things like that. So I highly suggest you take advantage of pre-boarding. Again, they cannot ask what your disability is. So even something like ADHD qualifies for pre-boarding on an airplane. And the last one I have up here is me before I went blonder, and my I'm going blonder because I'm going grayer, and someone told me that that's the way it goes. You end up going blonder until you just give up, and then you go grayer. But I am the accessibility manager here. My counterpart is Tamri Moten. She's the ADA coordinator. She's the one that's in charge of, like, if you see anything that's wrong, you see an elevator that's not working and therefore part of the building is not accessible, you let her know. You see a floor that is slippery and someone could get hurt, you let her know. I'm the person that gives you all those other little resources, those little tidbits on tips and tricks on how to make this process easy for you. I know it sounds silly, and sometimes people are like, Kim, you took 10 years in the disability advocacy world to work at an airport. Why? And I think we all learn so much about ourselves and who we are, who the world is, by being able to travel. And travel must be accessible for everybody. And so I feel like if I can give you a hint or a tip or a trick that'll encourage you to come back to the airport again, to be able to go experience some other culture or some other city, then I have helped in this really small way make the world more inclusive. And I know, and that makes me feel good. Like, I pick the right career path. So I really want you to reach out to me, and if you need anything. So,
Kim, one of the many reasons I love you. Um, making airports inclusive for all, and you do it so well. Before we get to the questions and comments, if you could type your email address in the chat box, that would be great. This was outstanding. I did not know that about the wheelchair, you have a separate person, or like a kiosk or whatever for wheelchair accessibility or something. I didn't know that, so that was really, really interesting.
I will tell you, I forgot to mention service animals. I don't know if anybody on here has service animals, but I do want to mention that real fast. And I know I've talked your ear off. That is not normally how I teach a lesson, so I apologize.
No apology needed. It's all great information.
Okay. My throat is like dry. I'm like, I didn't have any, I'm an elementary teacher by background. We should be like folding paper plates or something during this time together. But the rules changed in February of 2021 on service animals. Emotional support animals are no longer considered a service animal by the American Air Carriers Act. So the only dogs that are allowed to fly outside of their cages are certified service animals. And that is an animal that's defined as a dog who has been trained to mitigate the effects of a disability. Your airline will probably ask you for documentation there's some forms from the FAA on your dog in order for your dog to fly without being in a kennel. I'm pointing this out because so many of us got used to being able to take emotional support animals, AKA our pets, on a plane with us to help relieve stress, and they are no longer allowed to do that. They must be in a kennel, and they must either be able to, the kennel has to fit under the chair, or your animal must be transported with cargo. So please be aware that if you're using an emotional support animal, AKA pet, they are not allowed to fly as a service animal anymore.
So that's really interesting. So how do you get your animal if they are a service animal? You get a note from your doctor and
yep,
and then go to the FAA website?
There's an FAA website that has a form.
Okay. So good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know, because I saw plenty. Before y'all joined, and Kim and I were chatting, and this was before COVID. And I remember seeing I love all dogs. Makes no difference to me if it's a Doberman, if it's a Rottweiler, but this was a pit bull, and I love pit bulls. I'm one of those people who doesn't get afraid of them. And he said this was his support dog. Well, I can guarantee you there are people on that airplane who said, I am not sitting near that pit bull. If it was a Dachshund or a Shih Tzu or a Pomeranian, I don't think anybody would have cared. So that's really, really interesting. Do they always have to be wearing their vest in the airport?
No.
Okay, because when I went to Knoxville over 4th of July, I was just going to say this little dog, the size of a paperweight, did not have a vest on. So it was a service animal. So what if you get there, didn't know this rule, and there's your dog? I wonder what they'll do.
To get into the airport, you'd still be able to get in the airport. There's no HAS employee that I'm not going to stand there and tell you to go home. Okay, I'm not police. To get past TSA, you'd be really lucky. To get on your plane, probably not going to happen. So it's one of those things where we're really trying to push the knowledge so we don't have angry customers here sitting out while their plane flies away because their dog can't get on.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah,
we
and
should
then they
open up
will
a
need
dog
emotional
kennel
support.
shop.
Yeah, at that point they will need. So several people have asked for the social stories and everything.
Yes.
So why don't we do this? Why don't you send them to me when you send your
Okay.
slide deck, and I will
Will do.
email them to everybody so you don't get 8 different emails.
Got it.
So if y'all give me a day or two, I will make sure that I email you her slides. I can email you the recording and her social stories.
Yep.
Let's go through the questions. You are so welcome. Such great feedback and great questions from everyone. Let me scroll back. Do you know if they have lanyards at the Baltimore airport? You know, you mentioned those lanyards that Houston's going to be getting hopefully soon, that tell the airport that this person may need a little extra care. She's looking.
So if you go to, I'll look right here. I don't want
Okay.
you to stare at me looking online. Okay, discover where it's acknowledged. If you go to hidden disabilities, or just Google sunflower lanyard locations,
Oh, perfect.
you
Okay.
they have a map. And I am almost to
Yeah.
Baltimore.
Our lanyard, and lanyard
I
is
do not see.
LANYARD.
Yes.
Okay.
Baltimore.
So I'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I don't see them on here. Again,
Okay.
it's an up and coming thing here in the US. So
Okay. Great. So you were talking about TSA Cares. I posted in the chat box at 12:50. Contact them 72 hours prior to traveling with questions, procedures, what to expect. I've listed the 855 number, and I couldn't tell by the way, because we know the internet, everything is truthful. If the email is TSA dash contact center at tsa.dhs.gov or just contact center at tsa.dhs.gov. I think it's the contact center.
see here, TSA Cares. Let me see what I have in my
Okay.
email. Because heaven knows I don't remember anybody's emails
Oh, neither do I. We need population, auto-populate.
by memory.
But I think it's contact center. So I've
Yeah,
listed,
Get back to you on that
Yeah,
one.
I think that's
don't
what it
know.
is. And you can always call them.
Yeah,
You can
and they
always
have
call
a
them.
request form on their website as well if you don't want to directly.
Mhm. I have used the gate pass, and I think it's really great. Please correct me if I'm wrong. You do have to stand on the long checkout line. You can't just get a gate pass at a kiosk, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. But they are available. I will send everyone the social story. Great question, Amy. Do you know who TSA Cares uses for training to offer these services?
I'm going to give you my best guess because I do not work for TSA.
Okay.
TSA is a federal agency, and most federal agencies that we work with here do their own internal training. They
Okay.
have hired a consultant to help with building of that training, but most of them do internal training. We are also in the process, we have started the pilot program to building our own accessibility training. And yes, we fold paper plates and all sorts of things like that during it. So it's really fun and engaging. But we're rolling it out with HAS employees. And the goal is then to make sure that every badged employee within our airport system has to have part of this training annually.
Wonderful.
And that includes HPD, HFD, TSA, all of the vendors, concessionaires, the airlines, those people and agencies would have to, in order to maintain their badge, would have to have some sort of disability awareness training.
And hidden disability awareness.
Hidden disability awareness, training is a big part of
yeah,
it.
is huge.
Yeah.
Which is great. Maria wrote a great comment. It's awesome what you mentioned about the pre-boarding. She wished they would announce it or make others more aware of it. And I agree with you, Maria, but unfortunately we live in a world where people will take advantage and then you'll have half the plane probably pre-boarding.
Yeah,
And
they
that's
do a really
unfortunate.
quick announcement. Most of them will do a really quick announcement, like
Right.
we're now boarding
Yeah.
passengers with disabilities, and they wait like 10 seconds, and they're like, now we're boarding, super fly
Right.
aisle class number 7C. And so they just move on very quickly. And again, it is part of that taking advantage of the services that they don't share it out a lot.
I've
So-
gotten compliments. Everybody loved this. This was such great information. Christina, my colleague, graciously posted the survey link. Please make sure that you complete it. It's how we learn, it's how we grow. And even though we all know Kim was outstanding, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share. We will not contact you. You do not need to worry. But this was really just so terrific. I mean, to me, I care less about flying. If I could tell you the number of my friends who have to take Dramamine, Xanax, you name it, or they have to have 2 or 3 drinks before they get on a plane. I kid you not. Yeah, before they get on a plane. A lot of people, it is very, very anxiety producing for a lot of people. And what is sensory overload to one person may not be to another. We always encourage people, you have to speak up for yourself. You have to speak up for your loved one. You can do it respectfully, but it's really important that you do it because you need to be supported and your loved one needs to be supported. And if you're not supporting them, I can almost promise you no one will. So, it's just really critical information. Kim, I think I got all of the comments. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it too.
Okay. I can't thank you all enough. Again, I will, within a couple of days, send you all of the information. Please look in your spam folder, your junk folder to make sure it didn't go there. If you didn't get it by Friday, please email me. And maybe for some reason it got lost in the cyber world. We never know. So oh, look, that's adorable, Carissa. Hi. Oh, hi there.
Thank
Precious.
you.
Oh, what's your child's name?
This is Landon.
Hi, Landon. Just adorable.
Thank you.
Very cute. So I know we all have busy days ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. Kim,
Thank
you are like my sister from another mister. That was great. I really loved it. And yes, TSA agents, none of them graduated from charm school. I can promise you that. Safety.
We're not meant to be TSA agents.
Nope. No. Oh, I could. My God, I'd be hugging and petting the dogs. And
I know. I'd never catch a single thing. I'd be like too busy saying hi to people.
Yeah, I'd be too busy welcoming them. Yes. I'm with you. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
In 2 weeks, our next presenter will be Dana Sobers-Ben. You may not know this, but there is a wonderful program called T-Chat. And it is telehealth, basically telehealth therapy. And Dana Sobers-Ben is with the Harris Center. So I will be emailing you all that flyer as well. So it will be 2 weeks from today at 12 o'clock Central Time. And it's a free program. So if you are needing additional assistance, struggling a bit. Oh, wait, you know what? Hold on 1 second. I may have misspoken. Hold on 1 quick second. That wasn't too good. Let's see. Where is my, who is speaking next week? It is, oh, I'm so sorry. Right person, wrong topic. Texans recovering together. Have we all not had a challenging year? Harvey, the winter storm, you name it. So Dana Sobers-Ben will be talking about the Texans Recovering Together program, another free program offered to us to help you find resources and support during this challenging time. Thank you, Kim. Thank you all for joining us. Have a great day.
Hi, guys.